What's up, guys?
Damn.
Yeah, yeah.
Some motherfucking doghouse battle cat collaboration.
That's crazy. I
right
can't
here.
even hear
No,
it.
this motherfucker bang. I
Oh,
see.
thanks.
Straight West Coast style. Peep the script. I bang with the gang that don't need no intro. We run from East Long Beach to West South Central. Credentials, the kick flows and rip shows. Dip foes.
There we go. You can't see the screen either, huh? I got to.
No, I see you. I see you, but I don't see the video
We
or nothing.
live. Okay, so we got. First of all, what's YouTube? It's your homeboy Fat Rat Evolved, original West Side Playboy Gangster Crips. I got the founder with me today. We in trouble. Listen. So he can't see what we got, man. But we got a back screen of an image of a PBG in the Matrix with a gun in his hand. And then in the middle of the bottom of the screen, it's the video of me, Big Insane, Don Juan, who else, man? Booby from Marvin, and all of us when we were shooting the video shoot. That's running the whole time we on the video. It's just in the screen, you know what I mean? So what's up, big homie? How you feeling tonight, man?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. I'm talking to you. I love you for
Come
sure.
on, man. Come on, man. It's been a long time, man.
The
You know
whole
what I
time,
mean?
man.
I'm at the big homie, what was it, 75 or so? It's been 50 years,
Yeah,
man.
I'm like that.
You know what I'm saying? You can't have a big homie for 50 years talk to me. You know, that ain't everybody's
Oh man,
story, man. You
it
know?
was love at first sight for sure.
Yeah, I was telling the story the other day that it was you and Tony first, man.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
hung out with Anthony Bray, yeah,
Yeah.
your brother.
Yup. And then we family, you know what I mean? It was a family thing. But then
In
uh,
your family, you know everybody in my family.
whole families, man. You know, I'm over your house because I like Blanche's fried chicken a little more than what's happening at my house.
Oh
You
man, boy,
know what I'm
chicken
saying?
burn, boy.
Come on, man. You know what I'm saying?
I still cook her recipes right now, man. So
Mom was
yeah,
so
I taught
G,
my
man.
wife how to do all that.
She was such a G, man. And a
Mhm.
lot of homies didn't benefit from knowing her like
Yeah,
we.
and you know, and like I was talking about earlier, it's about reciprocation, though.
Yeah,
When somebody love you like I love the homies, that's supposed to come back.
yeah,
Me and you never had a problem with that. It
yeah,
always came back and forth.
right,
But everybody ain't like us. They don't have that in them.
yeah. So we
I
got work
wasn't
to do.
doing it to be. I wasn't doing it to be famous.
Yeah. Y'all was
I
something
did it.
else, man. Y'all, when I think about, man, I really think about that because it was a long time, man, when I was put out of that whole era. That was a different era for me. So we went off and was doing our hustling while y'all had all of them activities. Like when you talk about you and having the house parties and Trey Ball and them coming through, man. And
Yeah, Trayvon, that's my guy, man.
yeah, you know what I'm
Trayvon from
saying?
Marvin, that's my guy, man.
Household name. Everybody know
Yes,
Mark
sir.
Honey a household name. You know what I mean?
Everybody, everybody.
You household names, man. Y'all had built up a point in your coming up that y'all was really known on the West Side for being who you are, right? For fighting, for dancing, for getting at the girls. You know what I mean? For dressing
All
the
that,
best, all of that,
all
right?
that, all that,
It's a
all that.
swag. You know what I mean? Y'all had that, man. Y'all had that, man, for real. You know what I mean? You want to elaborate on some of that?
Because I mean, it's what you put out is what you get.
Yeah,
We ain't never held nothing back. We always been for real and transparent, and so that's just how that goes. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I mean, my sister had me laughing because Suzette had me laughing because she said her husband PT said, "How that cockeyed nigga be getting all these fine women?"
Yeah, man. I remember that. I remember that. Hey, I remember a day because we had a ritual back in the day. this for the hood, for the set started, right? You would
Yeah.
y'all would get me, you and Boxer would get me when I got kicked. I think I was kicked out of pasture. And then I remember I
Hmm.
went to that little Christian school down there on Venice right before Overland.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then I had to wear the uniform for the school.
Uh,
Listen, man.
yeah, I
And,
remember
yes, and I would
that.
y'all would beat me at the bus stop. Y'all knew, oh, he gonna be getting off the bus at about 4 o'clock. And y'all would
I
be at
remember
the bus stop. Y'all be at Thrift Town and meet me at the bus stop and bag on me all the way from the bus stop to the glass house. Like 35 minutes of stand up on the fact that I gotta wear this sweater.
Boxer was a fool, man.
Hey, Boxer, one of the homies who's
He
underrated,
used to
man.
come up with some crazy,
Yeah,
crazy ass sayings and all that.
yeah, man. Then I remember a day we was on. We had done that, and then y'all waited on me. We got dressed and we started to walk up to your house when you was living on. I think it was Bedford you was living on then.
Yeah, I living on Bedford. Yeah,
And we was all walking up the street. And remember Pie Face Tracy?
yeah. I remember Tracy and
Man,
what was his brother's name?
I didn't know you said it's Gregory or something like Greg or something.
Yeah, one of the funny names. It was Tracy and I forgot his name. I mean, I'm 63 years old
You
now. I'm
bagged
on.
on
I
him. Hey,
can't.
listen, man. But you remember that's when you was with Simone. You remember
Yeah,
that?
Simone. Yeah, yeah,
Simone
yeah,
was
yeah,
with you right then. I don't know how that all happened, but we was all together walking up
yeah.
the
Simone
street.
Slag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you bagged on Tracy. It was his turn. Like you bagging on him, but Simone is with you, and then me and Anthony, me and Boxer is with you, but told Anthony Perry at the time. You know what I mean? And I just remember them sessions. But do you remember when we was on our way back after you dropped Simone off at your house, and then we left together?
Uh-huh.
And you was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna show you how to Mac, homie. You don't know how to Mac. He said, all you said it like just like this. Remember the song LTD? Uh, you just sweet as peaches and cream. You must have stepped right out of
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah,
dream.
yeah,
That
yeah, 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 yeah,
was you was like, you gotta find a Mac line right there and run the Mac
yeah,
line. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
That's we both deserve each other's love.
Yeah, that one. You was using that, but you was saying you was teaching me like, cause I didn't
Yeah,
have none of that.
yeah. That's where I got it from. Dudes, the Ozzy brothers and all them.
Yeah, but you didn't have no hesitation like to take that and then be smooth with it right away. You know?
Hey, cause I mean, both of us, man. Even when you came out of off the porch and all that, we ain't never been scared.
Yeah, yeah. I
What
wasn't
what
I
what
wasn't when you
who
was
who said who said that song is gonna take confidence to have moves like this? I think that was Cameo. Hmm.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah,
Confident.
it's gonna have confidence to make moves like this. That's freaky dancing, something like that.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember the
Yeah, yeah,
lyrics
yeah,
to
yeah,
Freaky
yeah,
Dance.
yeah.
That's one.
But I mean, some of them songs they had truth in them, for sure. Hmm.
Say and do.
But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. John Wayne, that was Tracy's brother, John Wayne.
He was older.
He was a little bit older. I think he was like 1 year older. He was a
Right.
Bedford boy, like Tony Rome and all them. I wanted to talk about Jeff though, Jeffy Gerald.
Oh yeah, a straight monster.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Talk
that's my
about, you
dude,
know
man.
what? I want to hear that because nobody ever talks about your days as a Bedford boy.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause the first place I moved to was Sherborne, the Sherborne Arms, where Melvin, where your brother lived,
Yeah.
where Melly Mel lived, that with the pool, the one on the
Yep,
corner.
the blue
I
one.
lived there. Yeah, and that's when I became a Bedford boy, hanging with Kenny Raymond and Jeffy Gerald and all them. That's where Big Insane was. That's where Tina was. You know what I mean? And so I was able to interact with all them before PBG.
You saying Insane lived on Sherborne?
Yeah, that's where he hung out with
Oh
Bo.
yeah, yeah,
Remember
yeah, yeah.
Bo?
Yeah, Bo
Yeah,
Harris.
yeah, Bo Harris and
Yeah,
Frank and all them.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man.
You talking about Frank that was from Santa Monica?
Yeah, all of them was from Santa Monica. Insane was from Santa
Yeah.
Monica too, and Tina. Yeah,
I didn't know T
they
Mac
was
came
from
from
Santa
Santa
Monica.
Monica.
Graveyard, graveyard. Hmm.
Yeah, she was with Tony T back in the days too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, now we where I want to be because I was telling the story of how we got started, but before we got started, and how
Hmm.
this is it just cleaned me up. I'm gonna tell you how I did it. I said I walked. If you came off of Los Cienega and made the right turn on Sheridan, you would run into. Remember, Michael Moore stayed on Sheridan.
Yeah, Michael Moore. Yeah,
Rest in peace, Michael. He ended up being Michael Mixon Moore for the radio station.
yeah.
And
Bad
then,
boy,
yeah,
bad boy.
yeah,
That he. Michael Moore with the business, even though he beat up your brother, but
yeah, yeah. He got Tony. He almost punky head Tony. And that was over a girl or something at Hamilton.
yeah, it was over his sister.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, Tony was. I mean, he was getting fresh with Michael Moore's sister. And so she told him, and that's what did that.
And he was on the football team at the time too.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
because before we had went to uni, we was ditching. Me and Daryl, we went to uni in Sherman and Sherman Lee, and we got into it with the football team.
yeah.
And so the dude said, "Hey man, you's a punk ass dude." I was like, "Who you talking to?" He said, "I'm talking to him, the little guy." He picked on Daryl. He didn't want to see me.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Daryl whooped his ass though.
Yeah, Daryl
But
had hands too.
yeah, but we was gonna fight the whole football team.
Oh wow.
So I told Michael Moore when we paid uni, I said, "Man, get that dude."
Yeah. That was one of the homies, man, and people don't know that.
Yeah.
But then
No, they don't know that.
you'll come on, and that's how again we talking about what's the condition of the set before we became play
Before. Yeah.
before we became
Before.
Playboy gangsters, right? So you
Yeah.
got you got Michael Moore, then you got Big Marv and Lil Marv, Tracy Jackson and his big
Yeah,
brother.
yeah, 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 yeah. You got Marvin Jackson. Yeah, that's my boy right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, Andrew.
yeah.
Yeah, all them dudes, man. Daryl Foster,
Was D
Doug.
Foster on Cheriton? No, I'm just talking about Cheriton.
Oh, on Charity.
Was
Oh, no, he
Lanny who
wasn't on
was
Charity.
Connie's brother? Was it Lanny?
Lanny, yeah, Lanny Harris.
Was
Yeah.
on Cheriton, and I couldn't name anybody else other than because Edward and Glenn, who ended up becoming Rusty and G Boy from Gear Gang, lived over there too.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, the twins, I know them.
They
Yeah, we
lived over
cool.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you were
They went to
you
Pastor.
yeah. They I didn't know they went to pasture though.
Yeah. They went to Pastor. I speak to Glenn every now and then. We go back and forth. It's my dude, man. So yeah.
Okay, you would
It ain't
go
from it ain't where you from, it's where you at.
all the
Like
time.
like Melly Mill asked me, the postman asked me how did we deal with the bicentennial thing
Okay.
about gangbanging. I said it ain't where you start, it's where you
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
We was one of the smallest gangs in LA, but we was vicious.
Right. And this what I'm trying to do is I want to illustrate how it got to be that you was dealing with the type of people you was dealing with and it was unexpected. Like you didn't expect that you was running into
No,
beasts. But I'm saying
no,
it was beasts on every street in the neighborhood all the way up to Bruce. You had Robin Hill up there, but then you make a left on Guthrie off of Sharp Chariton and you go to Garth. And I started at the top with G Dog, Gary Washington.
yeah,
But I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
John,
Big G dog.
remember
Yeah,
John Bell used to be a factor back then too.
yeah, John Bell,
And then,
George,
yep. And
Michael
then
Blackman, all them.
on Garth,
Yeah, Black Mike.
Black Mike, and then Big Will, Dutch's brother,
Yeah, Will.
Will, and then down on the other end was Marcel and them down by Cadillac. But am I missing anybody when I say those names on Garth? Because I didn't say Black
Um,
Mike.
no, um, it was a lot of people. You know, Red was a Garf dude too. I mean, Garf was a factor. Garf, Sherrington, Corning, Bedford
Right.
was all factors. As far
Well,
as starting
Red
the
was
hood,
on
but we had
hold.
to fight all of them. We had to fight all of them when we started.
See, we finna be
Bedford,
going ahead of me.
Bedford,
You
we
going
fought
ahead of
them first.
me. You going ahead of me. Listen, yeah, but that's okay. So let me just sum it up, because we was having this discussion too. Boo Boo and they family came about '79, right? And they was on
Mhm.
Garth.
Yeah, it was on guard. Yeah,
Okay, and then Corning was the only names I could pull up on Corning, except for on my side. Down there on those side, all I could come up with was the Dembo, Jocko. Who
yeah.
I'm missing? The,
Craig Dembo, Michael Dembo.
yeah.
Um, man, what's the homie name? Mike, light skinned Mike, and his brother Robert. You know, they were down there too. So you know,
And then I
yeah,
mentioned
a lot of
Pirate, but he was on the other end. Pirate, we went
he
to
was he
Shenandoah.
no he was right across the street from them.
Pirate
Yeah.
at that time,
No, Pirate, my bad.
Pirate was
Pirate
in the
was in the
Greens.
Greens.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was in the Greens. That's where I live. He
yeah.
was in the Greens.
I remember y'all
Pirate in the
living in the
factory.
Greens too.
Yeah,
But I didn't
Pirate in
want
the
to.
factory.
Oh, okay. Go back to the top. We got Scooby came in time too. So Scooby was up on
Yeah,
that other
Scooby
side,
lived right by the Booger Wolf Mansion.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then Boo
Uh-huh.
Boo and Mimi, Boo Boo with the sister Mimi, he was there.
Yeah,
And then you go to Sherborne. The only people I remember on Sherborne was Tina and Bo, my brother, and then Thomas that lived on the other end by Cadillac and that had the weed
yeah,
shack
yeah.
back there.
O.G. Thomas.
OG
Yeah, yeah,
Thomas.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
But these hitters, right? But then when you get
yeah.
to Bedford, you on a whole nother level in the hood. Like
You're
cause
on
you
a
talking
whole
about
level. You on a whole level now. You
whole
gotta deal
nother
with
level.
you gotta deal with Greg Raymond, Kenny Raymond. You gotta deal with all them.
Doug, you got Damon Ross, Kim Ross lived on Bedford at the time.
Kim
EK.
Ross had hands. Kim
Kim
Ross
Ross was
has
probably
hands.
one of the rawer homegirls that we ever had.
He
Her
used to
her
fight
and
grown
Ladon.
women.
Yeah,
Yeah. All
yeah.
the time.
Come on.
Yeah.
Me and those be having an argument about who was with Ladon first and all that old type of stuff,
That
man.
was no joke, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Um, okay, so and then I think Woodstone was on Marcus was on Shenandoah, right?
Yeah, he was on Shenandoah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know who all was on Shenandoah, but then I know after that you had Robin Hill,
Yeah.
and that was pretty much it. But that's every street in the hood
Robert
covered
Hill
down.
Robert Hill was on Proust.
Yeah, Bruce after Shenandoah,
Yeah.
right?
But
And
but 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 there wasn't nobody else on Shenandoah back then. But was Stone. And then later it was Termite, it was
yeah, yeah, that's
Booney and
later.
all them.
That's
So
later.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
very much later. So when that was happening, look. So when that was happening, then the dance groups formed, the Moonlighters first,
Mhm.
right? But you had the Moonlighters while you had the Bedford Boys. And then I got to a part in the conversation I wanted to leave for you because I wanted to know what was that situation when the Bedford Boys were all, am I right when I say this that the Bedford Boys were almost influenced by Papa T to become Bloods?
Because Papa T girlfriend lived on Bedford. So we got familiar with them. You know, that was my boy back in the day. But
Yeah.
he used to come over there, but when he stopped, the thing was one day we was walking down not Cadillac, the other one, Man, here we go with me forgetting
What
that street
Guthrie
that
or
run
something?
into PM. Yeah, the street that run into PM. Um, so
Airdrome?
we walking on that street, you know, where Boo got killed. We we were walking out there and Papa T came by there. He had his red rag and all that on, you know.
Yeah.
And so he seen me and he stopped. So we was talking and he said real loud, "Why you with them buster ass niggas?" And Ratneck was in the crowd.
Oh
and,
wow.
and Ratneck said, "What he say?" So Ratneck came over there and tried to stab him. He leaned in the car. He was like the driver's side trying to stab him. And
I remember
and
that. We
he
was
he really
PBGs
did.
then, though.
Yeah, we was PBG then. Yeah,
Yeah, you went
you was
ahead.
trying to talk about before PBG.
Yeah. I'm talking
Oh,
about
okay.
when Papa T used to be up by Bedford and was influencing the Bedford boys to be Bloods.
Yeah, cause he was real close with Fred,
Okay.
and his girl was Letitia. He used to come see Letitia.
I remember when
So
he first started coming to the hood, it was to see Rodella, George's sister, who lived in the
Rodella
building
on
right
corner.
next door to me.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
They lived right
Rodella.
next door to the glass house. He used to be over there 20 getting
Yeah,
on
and then
bicycles.
Kim Spanky's sister started messing with one of them dudes. I forgot his
That
name,
was
but
George.
yeah,
That was Monique and George.
Monique. Yeah, that was
Monique,
Monique.
yep,
Yeah.
Monique and
Mhm.
George. They was together, but that was my, we was childhood, me and him childhood. I told that whole story,
Mhm.
but
We
I
was
just did.
adolescents.
I was trying to make
We
sure
was
I was clear about
yeah,
Papa
we was
T's
super
influence on the
young.
Bedford boys.
Yeah, I don't think he had influence on the veteran boys. He just had influence on certain individuals because
Okay.
he didn't like Kenny. He didn't like Kenny Raymond.
Oh wow.
Because when we started gangbanging, he came over there with some bloods looking from Kenny in the alley, in the OG alley.
Oh wow.
And he hit me up. He was like, "Man, where's Kenny Raymond at?" I said, "Man, I hope you got enough people in there and enough guns, homie, because you in the wrong spot."
Wow. Wow.
That's my homeboy.
Yeah.
You tripping now.
Yeah. Yeah. Kenny
But
Randall.
yeah, he always had a problem with Kenny. Uh, a
Yeah,
lot of
I know
people
that,
did.
man.
Yeah.
See them. That's the part of them conversations. I never was in them. I gotta consult. Right. So,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so we I tried to tell a story. They'll say it was 2 different days where you and Don Juan went in the alley and you went and y'all had decided we was gonna be Playboy Gangsta Crips. And I want to get the idea, kind of how big of an idea that is because of all of the activities that's going on in the neighborhood, right? We got the
Yeah.
we got the Moonlighters, we got the Playboy Dancers, we got the Pop
Mhm.
Lock Gangsters. Scooby had a little click, a little click with him too, and then you got
Mhm.
the Bedford Boys, right? And you
Mhm.
got Robin Hill and them dudes that go to Robertson every day in
Robertson
Baltimore.
Park. Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
that crew. So it's like 6 crews of dudes that's in the hood, and every crew got somebody formidable in the crew. When y'all
Yeah.
came out and said Playboy Gangsters is going to be the only thing in this neighborhood, it was a
Right.
challenge. It was a line y'all was pushing on everybody who was doing everything else.
Right.
And see, that's what everybody don't understand. Playboy Gangster was kind of it was a humble beginning, but y'all pushed it in such a way, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the older homies was like they wasn't with it. I told the story about the day me and you was walking up Guthrie once we got started. Me and you was walking up Guthrie and Melly Mel pulled up on us, and he asked us, "What y'all niggas gang banging now?" And you said what? And he asked it again, and you said, "Oh yeah." You know what I'm saying? And then Melly Bill pulled up. He was like, "Man, y'all niggas better get y'all some money, man." All of those. He didn't like it. Like it was the older homies wasn't with the gang banging part.
Nah, they wasn't.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, man. And let me clear some stuff up.
Okay.
Uh, the hood was already Crip influenced
Right.
by Kevin Goff,
Right.
by Ducci, and all them dudes.
Right.
And I came from the 30s. I grew up in the 30s, so I was a Crip influence.
Right.
So when Don Juan saw that in me, I used to wear blue rags, all that, the rabbit fur glove, all that, khaki suits, and people were coming over there jacking people or like treating us like we were soft.
Right.
And Don Juan was like, man, we need to start a gang. We need to start, something. You dudes coming over here. And I was like, okay, we're going to be Crips then.
Right.
And so we went in the alley on Corning because he said there's some guys over there like Pirate and all them. And, Master D or whoever else was there. I can't remember. And we was like, okay, if you don't want to be a Crip, leave the alley.
Right.
And you was away back then. You was gone. I think you went back to Markham or something.
No, listen. So this what I'm trying to tell you. You know, when I was going to school in Watts, I was still on the west side every weekend. I caught the
Yeah,
bus
on the weekend,
every
yeah.
weekend. I would be in the hood. So this is the day I'm telling you I remember, because I don't remember that what you describing, but they said it was 2 days that it happened. So I remember the day that y'all was behind the glass house, and I was
Mm-hmm.
with Chuko and Red, and I
Mm-hmm.
even remember like Player D, or I think it was Killer D from
Killer
Playboy
D.
Dancers,
Yeah,
and
Derek. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
That's a
Kiki.
homie.
They was there, and it
Yeah,
was some other.
Kiki.
It was about 50 people. No, I say 25, but it was between 25 and 40 people in the alley that day behind the glass house. And
Yeah.
when you was saying, I'm telling you, was like, you know how you was turned up that day. You was on some, you had some energy when you was saying, I'm telling you niggas right now, it ain't gonna be nothing over here but Playboy Gangster Crip.
Well,
And if you
yeah,
got a
yeah. That
problem
was
with
that
that,
time.
leave.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
was doing
That was
that.
that time. Yeah.
And and and
All I did was repeat what I said on the other side of
okay,
Corning. That's all.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Because I knew the glass house was a factor too.
Yeah, yeah. I was there that
That's
day.
where we hung out.
Yeah.
That ain't the other side of Corning. I didn't hang out over there. I hung up at the glass house.
I remember on that
That
side
was
of the
our
corner, we
ground
just used to
zero.
go over there and wrestle. We used to slam each other on cars and all that right there.
Oh man,
Yeah,
that's what I tell people, man. We used to go body every morning. Me and
yeah,
Don Juan used to go body every morning.
yeah,
You get
yeah.
a 40 ounce
Yup.
a ball, and we just go to body. We boop boop boop,
Yes, sir.
no hitting in the face and all that, man. We stayed in shape.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why we was doing that,
Right.
but it turned out when we got arrested, that helped us along the
Yes,
way.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, okay, so PBG is formed, and there's this big issue, and the way you can remember this illustration real clearly is because every time Fred and Bo Harris would come through Corner Street Alley, going to the store, going wherever they was going, it would be a problem.
Hmm.
Cause Fred and Bo was like the last standing Bedford boys, kind of in my age group. They younger than you.
I would say it's more Fred than Bo because, I had started a gang with Insane before PBG. It was called Cianica Crip.
Yes.
And he was still claiming that when he went to YA.
Yeah.
And Bo was a part of that.
Oh wow.
But it didn't take off. You know what I mean? So,
That's interesting you said that, because on the day you was making that announcement in C Street Alley behind the glass house, that's what Chuko was saying to me. He didn't agree initially with the Playboy because he was like, man, everybody else said is after a street. Why can we don't just be the Cienega Crips?
hmm
While you was over there saying we gonna be Playboy Gangster Crips or nothing in the neighborhood. That's what you was saying. But
hmm
okay, so we formed and we gotta deal with the remains of some of the little disagreements with some of outstanding Playboy dancers, just a few. Is that right? Do you remember that? It was a few Playboy dancers who
Yeah,
didn't come willingly.
yeah, I know.
Right.
Yeah,
And then it was the issue was still outstanding with the Bedford boys.
yeah.
But
But once Tracy started, they all started.
they fell in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what I know happened too, and we don't talk about it enough. Kenny Raymond. Kenny, remember
Mhm.
this. Kenny Raymond girlfriend was my cousin Renee Harrell that lived in the glass house. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember Renee. Yeah.
They ended up moving back to the jungles, but Renee lived in the glass house at the time we started PBG,
Yeah, Latanya's sister.
Latanya's sister. So Kenny used to be in the glass house damn near every day.
Mm-hmm.
So when we turned to hood PBG, I always believe this, man, because of how Kenny really used to be. I remember that, man. And for me, it was to another level. For you, it was kind of like you in that age group. But for me, I'm looking at that on another level. Like Kenny Raymond is a formidable dude in this whole neighborhood. Like, and wherever he goes, these dudes is black belts. Him and Jeffrey Juros. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
always said to myself, if Kenny Raymond would have said, "Nah, it's gonna be a problem being Playboy Gangster Crips in his neighborhood," I always felt like if he would have did that, the killing would have started between us and our own homeboys in the neighborhood, as opposed to
It
just bumping.
definitely would have.
Cause you
It
can't stop
definitely
Kenny.
would have.
You can't stop Kenny.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
okay.
You feel me? Oh, he came with us. I'm like, but I know y'all had that tight relationship. A lot of people didn't know your relationship with Kenny.
Kenny, um, we was always close. You
Yeah.
know, I guess he saw something in me.
Right.
We was always close, me, him, and Jeff. But one day, remember when the '60s moved in the hood? Pee Wee,
Yeah. Stagger Lee,
Stag, and
Stacy,
them was over
Stacy
there.
Bullock. Yeah.
Yeah, Stacy Bullock. Uh, uh, they got it. Pee Wee, look, his brother
Lil Pee
got
Wee.
into it with BJ,
Okay.
and BJ, Sandy, and all them. They jumped on him, and so Big Pee Wee heard about it, and he was like, "Man, let's go over here and woo woo woo." And so my dumb ass, I went with him.
Uh oh. I remember
And
that.
so
I remember what
yeah,
happened too. Go ahead.
and she and they was, they was threatening. I mean, come on, Stagger Lee, come on, man. And Miss Raymond came out. Then they was like, disrespectful to her, and they walked up to the door and socked the door and all that. And so Kenny heard about that,
Yeah.
and so me and Suzette is walking right by that cut when you come from where you live, that little cut
Yeah.
where that pool was, that house, and
Yep.
all that little
When
cut.
you go across the
So he
street.
jumped out. He said, "Man, what's happening?" I said,
Wow.
"What's happening?" And he was like, "Man, you disrespect." I said, "Man, that wasn't me, man. I was just there, man. Woo, woo, woo." And when I talked to him later, when he calmed down, he said, "That's when I knew your ass was crazy."
Yeah. 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 Cause you was like, "What's up?"
Hey, you go,
Yeah.
you gonna fight me? You crazy?
Right.
This nigga that was a bad boy, man. We
Yeah.
used we used to go body all the time, man. We used to spar all the time. Me, him, and Jeff.
See, nobody knows that, man. I remember. I don't want to jump around, but I remember hearing about the incident. I wasn't at McManus Park that night when y'all went and played baseball, cause you know how y'all used to act.
Ah,
Hey, look, y'all know how y'all used to act with us,
ah.
man, when y'all went to go play
Hey,
ball,
hey,
baseball. Now we
come
10
on,
year
baby.
olds.
Hey, yeah, that dude used to beat my ass. I beat
Yeah,
his ass that day,
yeah,
though.
yeah. Yeah, I heard. I'm like, what? I forget who
he
told me
talking
this.
about
Yeah,
he talking about letting me up.
yeah,
So I let him out. I let him up, and he did the same thing. So I put him back
yeah.
down.
Yeah, I heard this story. I was like, what? They was like, yeah,
Kitty was
Jesse.
bad, man.
Yeah,
Kitty,
man.
Kitty ain't no joke, man.
Yeah, man. I seen him in
About that, he
action.
taught me a little bit too much.
Yeah, I seen him in action. So we, I was telling this story, but I got ahead of myself. So I
Mhm.
wanted to back up respectfully and out of love and respect for the Hoovers, man, when they moved into the hood, man, and what happened. That was our
Yeah.
first real trial. Um, Came from the Hoovers, man. And I'm gonna tell you what happened that kind of got forgotten, but Don Juan don't forget. Don
No.
Juan was up by Woolworths. He had that boom box and he was broke down. You know,
Yeah,
Don
it
Juan
was
always got the
Playboy
khaki
gangster.
pistol. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Nah,
was a
he was a
Playboy
gangster.
gangster.
He was playing gangster.
No, he was, but they didn't know he was.
Nah, they didn't know who he
He,
was. But he was seed up though. Don Juan
yeah.
had on some
No,
gray
I'm
khakis.
saying,
Go
I'm
ahead.
saying Tracy and Clay. Clay didn't even know he was a Playboy gangster. They
Huh?
didn't know. No, they didn't know. And he slept in the same room with Clay, but Clay didn't know he was a Playboy gangster.
I gotta process that. Okay, wow. So now
Yeah.
you set me. Okay. So anyway, let me say what happened when we got into it with the
Okay.
Hoovers, man, and just what you recall because I don't know how if you remember, because I talked to you about this before, and it didn't seem like we was on the same page. But the
Mhm.
day Don Juan is at walking in front of Woolworths, he had the boom
Mhm.
box. He got on some khakis, house shoes, a golf
Yeah.
hat, and a Pendleton. Now,
Yeah.
so the Hoovers looking at him and they knowing that's some form of affiliation just based on the dress code, but they don't know where they at though, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they are surrounded him to jack him for the radio. They was like, give up the radio. Don
Mhm.
Juan took the radio, slammed the radio on the ground, and tried to break. One of them fired on him. When they fired on him, they put like a little tomato or something on the side of his
Yeah.
head,
Yeah.
right? He
Yeah.
had a big knot on the side of his head. When he
Mm.
ran from Woolworths, he ran straight down Corner Street Alley to my front door and banged on my front door. When I opened the door, I see Juan. He ain't bleeding enough, but he got a knot on the side of his head and he looked frantic. And he
Uh
like,
huh.
"Cuz these niggas trying to jump me. Come on." So I go hold on, I run and go throw something on or whatever, grab whatever I grab, and I say, first thing I said was, let's go get Jesse.
Mhm.
So you was on Shenandoah
No, I was
then.
on Bedford.
I mean
Mhm.
Bedford. I mean Bedford.
Yeah.
You was on Bedford, so we went through every cut to get to Bedford. Got
Mhm.
you, and on our way back, Antoine, remember Antoine from Bedford?
Yeah, I remember Antoine.
Antoine joined us. So now we on our way down. We come back down through all the cuts. We walking up. We come out on Garth. They're on the Hoovers is on Garth and Guthrie on the
Yeah,
corner.
they on guard. Yeah.
It's about.
Across the street from Dutch's in them house. They were right there. Yeah.
So do you remember what I did that day? Cause you went crazy. You know, you when you seen
I
them,
know.
you did the
Oh,
Superman shit. You start
yeah.
walking 50, 500 miles an hour, and they're over there. Boom, boom, boom. I'm like, here we go. I'm like, he finna do. Here we go. It's so I don't even know. I want to say Benno's was over there that day. Cause somebody
He
was
might have been.
two of them was over there on Monster Swole. It was about what was it about 6 of them,
Yeah.
and it was
It was
about
Black Bone, Radneck, Pee Wee, and all that.
yeah.
Mhm.
So do you remember what I did? Because the fight that we y'all ended up having on Cheriton
Uh huh.
happened that day. It wasn't
Oh, that was
another
the
day.
same day.
That was the day.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That was the
Yeah.
day. You know what I did? I disappeared. I didn't go with you guys over there to confront him.
Yeah.
I went and got the Pinto and rode up and down every house in the neighborhood and every street in the neighborhood and picked up all the homies and we came down Guthrie on the outside of the Pinto about 20 deep.
Mm-hmm.
The first person I picked up was Red. I went around on Hope. Red was right there. I told Red was happening. He was like, man, let's go get everybody. So we went
Mm-hmm.
all the way up to like Bedford and got homies. And by the time we came down Guthrie, it was about 25 homies on the Pinto. So we y'all had went down Sheridan and
Mhm.
started fighting with the Hoovers.
Mhm.
We pulled up and stopped on the corner of Sheridan. And I'm telling you, I'm gonna tell you why. I'm glad I didn't drive down Sheridan. It's a reason for that. I didn't drive down Sheridan. I stopped at the alley of Sheridan before you get to Sheridan, and the homies jumped out and ran down there.
Mhm. I remember
So,
that.
so the Hoovers lost that day.
Yeah.
They lost the fight that day. It was overwhelming.
Well, it was too many of us.
Yeah, it was too
They-
many homies. I was the one who orchestrated the part that it was too many of us though. You didn't know that. But the Hoopers came. Let me get a groove they credit because they
You know
came
who was
back.
that? You know who was very instrumental and was also there. I just talked to him the other day. Ping.
Yeah, P1 was on Garth that day when y'all was going over there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But that still was Antoine left too. It really still was just you and Don Juan.
yeah, yeah. He left
He
too.
left.
What was
Antoine
his
left.
sister? The big girl name? I forgot her name.
I forgot her
Antoine's
name
sister.
too. Was that
Yeah.
Velma or
Juan was.
somebody?
I
I forget her
forgot.
name. Yeah.
But Juan was was Ping was the one that was talking to them,
Oh yeah.
and he was like, "Man, we all Crips, man. Y'all Hoopers. I'm from Grape Street. Ooh, why we fighting? Why y'all doing this?"
Yeah.
He was trying to reason with them,
Right.
but they kept saying, "It's Hooper, nigga. This Hooper."
Right.
So one of them tried to go in the car, and Tracy Jackson came and slapped that nigga with a big ass piece of wood, and it was on after that.
Yeah. You just started. Yeah. Y'all started bumping. I think light skinned Big Wheel was down there too. Not Dutch's
Yeah,
brother,
yeah,
but
he
the
was
other
there.
Big Wheel. Harlem
Yeah,
Godfather
he was
Wheel.
there.
Yep.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah.
hmm
So yeah.
Mac Man, all
See.
of them was there.
See.
Yeah,
See. Them are hitters, man. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing but you in a real right. You
yo,
in a
man.
real rumble right here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I talked to Mac Man not too long ago when I was in Vegas.
How's he
hmm
doing, man?
He doing good.
Okay, good. I heard he
Man,
was.
I gotta get off of here, man. I love you, man. You
Okay,
know
we
we
can
gonna
just
do some
can we
part two,
catch
three,
back
and
up
four.
to part two. We gonna go into what happened with us in the Hoovers, and then the next part is the Bedford Boys because those two things are connected.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
But I love you, big
yeah,
homie, man. We gonna get it in, man.
yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to. We just trying to drop knowledge on our people, man. You
Yes,
know,
sir.
not to glorify it, but to
Doc,
cause some freedom.
we gotta
That's it.
document the history, man. If we leave
Yes, sir.
the documentation of our history to somebody else, they'll distort it.
Exactly.
You know. But yeah, all right, homie. I'm gonna finish this up, man. I'm gonna let you go get your rest, man. Love you. Send my love to the queen, man.
I will.
All right.
Love you, bro.
Love you. So there you have it, man. Me and the founder, man. That's my big homie, man. Since I'm gonna say, man, Jesse James been my big homie since '77. Been my big homie since '77, man. That's like 48 years. I refer to him as big homie, man, because he did a lot of things for me. But we're gonna get into this history, man, about us and the challenge with the Hoovers. And let me get a Hoovers credit, man, because they came back that next day, man. And when they came back, I was probably the only one they almost caught. They almost caught me. Uh, but them dudes hit the corner, man, in our hood, man, riding about 20 low riders, man. 4 men in every car, man. And they was on go. And all they wanted to do, let me tell you what's different, man. This is what's different. They just wanted to fade. You hear me? They didn't come through popping and all that, drive-by shooting and all that, man. The Hoovers came back wanting to fade. And they almost caught me. I was by myself. Anyway, and I'll tell you more about that story, man. Again, man, it's your homeboy, Fat Rat Evolved, original West Side Playboy Gangsta Crips, man. We are winners, y'all. Remember that. We on a 1,000-mile journey that begins with one step. That step takes us one step closer to our success, right? We gotta work on our unity, man. The things we do together, man. With unity, we can accomplish all things. Stop trying to do it by yourself because it's not working. There are people who have gone down the path you're trying to get down who can guide you, warn you, instruct you, help you to get down the path with a little more efficiency. Even if they fail, there's a lesson in failure, right? Just keep those things in mind, man. It's your homeboy, Fat Ratty.